David Hume suggests that an emotional detachment is necessary to objectively judge the worth of any given piece of art. This is more tricky than usual, since today's subject resembles the game that got me into RPGs and anime in the first place. If Grandia were to get a HD remake, it would probably look a lot like Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky. The mixture of sprite and 3D environment isn't where the comparison ends, however. You play as Estelle, a young adventurer walking in her father's footsteps, leaving home for the first time on her first great adventure, getting accidentally embroiled in politics involving the military, discovering that true love might be just in front of you, running headfirst into any danger, and just being... Okay, I'm slightly taking a piss, but this game holds many similarities with my very favourite. One of these is its battle system, where there is a focus on manipulating the turn order, both to avoid giving opponents a chance to deal damage, and also to gain various bonuses. Also, there's a great focus on area of effect moves and character placement. Does it sound familiar to you at all? This type of system is right up my alley, and although the greater clarity in this game is a nice bonus, it feels a little bit more clinical than Grandia's battles. Another difference in which Grandia wins out is that although the main plot does follow our main character's adventures, it doesn't really seem to link in with the bigger picture for most of the game. It feels like a lot of the chapters are simply there to be episodes, with very little relevance to a major plot. This game has an issue with control. On PC, the game can't decide if it's geared for a controller or for a mouse. It's strange using mouse and keyboard on traditional JRPG menus designed for a gamepad, but on a controller, you quite often end up doing the wrong thing, as some of the game's menus are quite clearly designed for the mouse. Another possible problem with this game is its length. It is crazy long. This is largely due to the wealth of side quests on offer for you. For the most part, they're very simple, but often involve a lot of travel, each serving as mini episodes or filler. They're both a blessing and a curse. It does mean that you'll never have to grind in a traditional sense, as you'll always have a goal in mind. However, it does mean that you can be hours and hours into the game and not be tickling the surface of the main plot, whatever little of it there is. At 10 hours in, I was still on chapter 1. Considering the game's genre, and none of this time appears to be spent purely grinding, this is both positive and negative, depending on what you want from this game. Regarding possible padding, the game suffers from verbal diarrhea. No exchange is to the point, as characters each have to elbow their quirks into every conversation. In some cases with charm, in others just serving to make you want to end the conversation all the quicker. Since they do seem to have a playfulness in the dialogue, this does go some way towards mitigating how cliché some of the plot elements and backstories are, and allows for some genuinely touching moments. Speaking of these, the game initially does quite nicely at exhibiting the relationship between siblings who aren't related by blood. Our two protagonists go some way to prove that you aren't required to be related to be a family, in a manner that spoke to me as someone from not an entirely dissimilar situation. It's just a shame that the game decides there must be a romantic aspect to it, and eventually turns it into a frightening sister complex sort of deal. Considering the game is mostly concerned with the day-to-day adventures of protagonists, when major plot details trickle through in the background, they often feel like they're coming out of nowhere. There is a plot here, and lots of semi-twists, but blink and you'll miss them. Speaking from a personal standpoint, I've been playing this game for hours and hours and hours, and although it's been a fantastic time, it doesn't feel quite as fulfilling as Grandia or a Final Fantasy game would be. It feels like it's all over the place. I also feel slightly cheaped out in the fact that it's semi-Magitech, sort of steampunky sort of vibe. I was hoping for more airships. A title like Trails in the Sky seems to suggest this. I was sort of expecting something a cross between Grandia and Skies of Arcadia, but the airships were always in the hands of others, as was the plot momentum. Estelle and Joshua are genuinely quite endearing characters, considering how cliched they are. This is a game where plot-wise it doesn't have the most subtlety, but it doesn't really feel like their adventures are going anywhere. I am enjoying them, and it is a good game, but it's not exactly gonna win any Pulitzer Prizes. I got the look and feel of Grandia, but I didn't get that core thing which keeps me hooked to it every single time. That being said, you should totally play it because it's super cheap, and given its length, I'd probably suggest you play it on PSP or PS Vita. It generally seems perfect for handheld play.